He looked like trash. That's what everyone thought, sitting on the freezing pavement outside a mansion that could house 30 families. He blended into the background like a coffee stain on silk, torn jacket, shoes held together by tape, a cardboard sign that barely stood. People walked past without blinking. A man in a suit muttered, "Get a job." A woman clutched her purse tighter. No one saw a human. Except her. Erica was tired. 3 jobs, no sleep, a sick kid in the hospital, but she stopped. She gave him bread and her last $5. Because to her, kindness wasn't a luxury, it was survival. She had no idea the man she fed wasn't a beggar. He owned the house behind him. A billionaire. Watching, testing, waiting. And in the next 10 minutes, both of their lives would be flipped inside out. The wind in Chicago didn't just sting, it punished. It bit through Erica's coat like needles, slipping past every layer she owned. Her hands, buried deep in the pockets of a knockoff jacket, were numb, but not from the cold alone. Exhaustion had a weight to it, and she'd been carrying it for years. Her shift had ended hours ago, but the second job, the janitor gig at a medical clinic, kept her until past midnight. She hadn't eaten, she hadn't sat down, she hadn't even cried, not because she was strong, but because crying took time. She clutched a half-full grocery bag to her chest, a loaf of bread, a tiny carton of milk, and a single apple for her youngest. Caleb, that apple had cost her exact change. All that was left was a wrinkled $5 bill, folded 4 times and worn thin like it had a story of its own. And then she saw him. He was slouched against the gate of a mansion that looked like it belonged in a magazine columns. Fountains. A driveway long enough to lose yourself in, but at the front, curled against the iron gate like an afterthought, was a man who barely looked real. His face was hidden beneath a hood, shoulders hunched, hands buried inside a threadbare coat. No movement, no sound. She slowed, others didn't. A man in a camel trench coat muttered something disgusting as he passed. A woman with gold earrings and tiny dogs in a stroller made a show of crossing to the other side. A teenager with iced coffee and AirPods snapped a photo, chuckled, and kept walking. Erica didn't move. There was a cardboard sign next to the man, barely legible under the flickering street lamp. "Hungry, please." And somehow, it hurt her. Not because he was asking, but because his writing looked like he hadn't done it in years, like he'd forgotten how to ask. She had seen plenty of people on the street. She lived close to it herself. But this felt different. Maybe it was how small he looked next to that mansion, or maybe it was how no one, not one single person, looked at him like he mattered. She knew that feeling too well. A gust of wind lifted the edge of his coat. She caught a glimpse of torn jeans, socks with holes, shoes that looked like they were once white, but now barely clung to form. She stepped closer. "Hey," she said softly. No response. She crouched down, her knees cracking. The pavement was ice beneath her jeans, but she didn't move. "You eaten today?" His head turned slowly. His eyes met hers. They weren't just tired, they were empty, like the world had spent years draining the light out of them. He shook his head once. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask where he was from, or how he got there, or if he was sober. She just reached into her bag and took out the bread. "Here," she said, placing it in his hands, and this, she pressed the $5 bill into his fingers. His hands didn't close. They trembled. He stared at the bread like it was gold. "It's not much," she added, "but it's real." For the first time, he spoke, barely. "You don't have to." Erica gave a tired smile. Maybe not, but someone should. And in that moment, between strangers, beneath the shadow of a mansion, neither of them belonged to something past between them that didn't need words. The world kept moving, but for them, something had stopped, something quiet, sacred. But what she didn't see was that she was being watched too. They sat in silence, not the awkward kind, but the kind that feels like a fragile thread too sacred to break, too rare to rush, the kind of silence that only exists between people who've both been cracked open by life in different ways. The man held the bread with both hands like it might disappear. His fingers, dry and cracked, gently pressed the plastic. As if unsure it was real, he hadn't said thank you, not yet, but Erica didn't need him to. He was still staring at her. Not in the way people usually stared, with judgment or expectation, but as if trying to solve a puzzle he hadn't seen before. "You don't look away," he said finally. His voice was rough, hoarse, like it hadn't been used in days, maybe weeks. Erica shrugged. No one looked at me either. I figured I'd return the favor. His lips twitched, almost a smile, almost. She shifted her legs beneath her, wincing. The sidewalk was cold and unkind. "How long you been out here?" He looked up toward the mansion behind him, then away, long enough to know what people think when they see me. She nodded, slow and knowing. "They don't really see you. Though, not really." He looked at her again. "You did." Erica's gaze dropped to the ground. Not the first time I've been invisible either. The wind picked up again. A car honked in the distance. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked and a couple laughed too loudly. The world kept spinning. "I'm Erica," she offered quietly, eyes still on the pavement. The man hesitated. She could feel it. "You don't have to tell me yours," she said quickly. "It's okay." He was quiet for a beat, then replied, "Ethan." She looked up. "Nice to meet you, Ethan." They sat like that for another stretch of stillness. Strangers suspended in a space where names were rare and kindness wasn't expected. Ethan finally broke the quiet again. "You didn't even flinch when I said I hadn't eaten, and—" Erica exhaled a tired laugh. "My kid's in the hospital. Pneumonia. No insurance. I don't have the energy to flinch anymore." He straightened slightly. "I'm sorry." She waved a hand, dismissing the words. "You didn't give him a virus. Life did. Life gives and takes whatever the hell it wants." Ethan nodded. Slowly, "Still, that's heavy." "I carry heavier," she said, rubbing her hands together. "People think if you just work hard, everything will be okay. But I've been working hard my whole damn life and still can't afford a full tank of gas." He looked at her, eyes narrowing slightly, not in judgment, but recognition. "What do you do? Barista in the mornings, clean offices at night, whatever pays and doesn't ask too many questions." She gave a half smile. "You?" Ethan's lips parted, but nothing came out. His gaze drifted toward the mansion again, then dropped back to his lap. Nothing, at least, not right now. Erica didn't press. She could feel the walls he was trying to hold up. She respected them. Some people protect their past like it's the only thing they have left. "I used to think," he said slowly, "that when people passed by a homeless person, they just didn't know what to do, that it was awkward. But it's more than that." She nodded. "They don't want to feel guilty. They want to believe you deserve it, that it couldn't be them." He looked at her, eyes sharp with understanding. "Exactly." "They don't know how close we all are," she added, her voice softer. "One job loss, one illness, one funeral, that's all it takes." The silence returned, but this time, it was heavier. She glanced at him again. His hands were shaking now, but not from the cold. He hadn't eaten the bread yet, just held it. "Why haven't you eaten it?" she asked gently. His voice cracked. "Because I don't remember the last time someone gave me anything without expecting something back." Her chest tightened. "No one expects anything," she said. "At least, not me." He stared at her. "Why?" She hesitated. Then, "Because the world is already hard enough. And maybe, if someone had helped me once, just once, things would have been different." Ethan blinked slowly, as if those words hit deeper than he was prepared for. They sat in silence again. But this time, It wasn't between strangers. It was between two people who had both been broken and recognized the shape of it in each other. And then, he said something that made her heart stop. "Can I tell you something?" Ethan asked, his voice barely louder than the wind. Erica blinked. "Sure." He looked down at the $5 bill she'd given him, still folded in his hand. "I almost didn't take it. Not because I didn't need it, but because I didn't earn it." She tilted her head. "You think kindness needs to be earned?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he sat up straighter, rolling his shoulders. His back cracked softly. For the first time, he looked less like a ghost and more like a man trying to re-enter his own skin. Then he said it. "I'm not homeless." Erica didn't move, didn't breathe. "What?" she asked. Slow. I was out here. I sat on this sidewalk. I wore these clothes, but it wasn't because I had nowhere else to go." She stared at him, waiting for a punchline. He didn't smile. "My name's not just Ethan," he continued. "It's Ethan Hale. I own Hale Strategic Holdings. That house," he nodded toward the massive mansion behind him, "is mine." Erica froze. "No, you're messing with me." He reached into the folds of his tattered coat and pulled out a sleek, black leather wallet. It looked absurd in his hands, like gold in the dirt. He flipped it open and held out his ID. She didn't take it, but she saw it. The photo, the name, the title beneath it. CEO. Every hair on her body stood up. "I came out here," he said, "because I needed to know." To know what? She whispered. "If empathy still exists," he said. "If people still see other people. I've been in boardrooms with billionaires who toss away more than most families earn in a year. I lost track of what real struggle looked like. I needed to remember." Erica stood, not fast, just enough to make space between them. "So you were watching," she said, her voice tight, "all this time. You were, what, playing poor?" "No," he said quickly. "I wasn't playing. I was listening, learning." She laughed, short and sharp. "Learning what?" "That poor people have hearts that will give you our last dollar while you sit on a fortune." He stood too now, not to threaten, just to meet her eye. "I wasn't testing you," he said. "I was testing me." She didn't speak, just breathed, heavy and quiet. "I didn't expect you," he said softly. "I expected people to walk by, to ignore me, maybe throw an insult, but not you." Erica crossed her arms. "So what now? You go back inside, write a speech about the power of humanity, sleep under a heated roof while I walk back to a hospital, praying my kid can breathe tomorrow." Ethan's jaw clenched. "No, I help." She looked at him like he'd just said the sky was green. "What?" "I want to cover your son's hospital bills." Her mouth dropped open, but no sound came out. "I mean it," he said. "All of it. Tonight. Right now. You don't even know me." He took a step forward. "You didn't know me either, and you gave me everything you had." She stared at him, hard, searching for the trick, the catch, the lie, but there wasn't one. Only him, still in rags, still shivering, still holding her bread in one hand and her belief in the other. Finally, she said, "Why me?" He didn't blink. "Because you saw me when I wasn't supposed to be seen, and I want to do the same for you." The wind howled behind them. A streetlight flickered. Somewhere, a dog barked again. But in that moment, the world felt still, like it was watching, like it was listening too. She looked down at his hands. He was holding out a credit card now, sleek, black, endless. Her fingers curled tighter into her sleeves. She could barely whisper, "I don't know how to take this." Ethan nodded. "I didn't know how to take kindness either. Until tonight, but help isn't easy to accept when life taught you to never expect it." Erica stared at the card in his hand like it was radioactive. That little rectangle, shiny, sleek, untouchable, might as well have been made of glass. Not because it looked fragile, but because she didn't trust herself not to break if she took it. Her feet stayed planted, her arms crossed, her jaw clenched. "You think money fixes everything?" she asked, voice low. Ethan didn't flinch. "No, but it can fix some things, like hospital bills, like a little boy fighting to breathe." Her chest rose and fell too fast. Her fingers curled into fists. "You don't get it," she whispered. "People like me don't get things like this. We get rejection letters. We get final notices. We get told to wait in line while the world passes us by." Ethan lowered the card slightly, but his voice stayed steady. "And maybe that's the problem." Silence. Then she laughed, a bitter, breathless sound. "I don't even know what I'd do with help like this." "You'd use it," he said. "You'd survive. You'd breathe." She shook her head, still not looking at the card. "Every time I let myself believe something good could happen, something bad took its place. Every damn times." "I'm not here to take anything away," he said softly. "I'm not here to be saved," she shot back. He didn't answer right away. Then, "What if this isn't saving you? What if this is just balancing the scale?" That made her blink. Ethan stepped closer, slow, careful, as if approaching a deer that might bolt. "You gave me something tonight, something no amount of money could buy." Her brow furrowed. "Bread and $5. He shook his head. "You gave me back something I'd lost. You reminded me what it feels like to be seen, to be spoken to like a person, not a burden, not a story, just a man." He looked at her not with pity, not with superiority, but with a strange kind of reverence. "And now I want to give you something back, not out of guilt, out of respect." She looked down at the pavement. Her throat burned. "You really mean to pay for my son's care?" she asked. "All of it," he said. "Tonight? What do you want in return?" Ethan smiled gently. "Nothing, except maybe one day, when you can, help someone else the way you helped me." Her lip trembled. She bit it to stop the shake. "No one's ever done anything like this for me," she said. "I figured as much," he replied. She looked up. "You don't even know me." He held her gaze. "I know enough." The card was still there, steady in his hand. She stared at it like it was a door, one she'd never thought she'd be allowed to open. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She let herself hope. She reached out, slowly, like her hand might disappear halfway there. Her fingers brushed the edge of the card. It felt solid, real. She took it, not because she was weak, not because she needed a savior, but because for the first time, she wasn't ashamed to accept something offered without strings. The moment her hand closed around it, she felt something in her shift, like air rushing into lungs that had forgotten how to breathe. She held the card to her chest, like a secret, like a seed. "I'll pay it forward," she said quietly. Ethan's eyes softened. "I believe you," she exhaled, long and trembling, and for the first time in years. It wasn't from exhaustion, it was from relief. He extended a hand. She stared at it, then took it. His grip was warm, grounded, not like a business deal, like a pact. "Don't waste it," he said. "I won't." And she meant it, because now she had something to protect, something to rebuild, something to walk toward. When she turned to leave, she didn't look back, but the weight she'd been carrying. She left some of it on that sidewalk, and in its place, there was something new. Not safety, not certainty, but possibility. What happens 1 year later is what no one saw coming. The cafe sat on a quiet corner in South Loop, tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner. Nothing fancy, no gold lettering or valet out front, just clean glass, the smell of roasted beans, and a bell over the door that jingled with every guest. Erica adjusted her scarf in the window's reflection. She looked different now, not richer, not flashier, just lighter, like something invisible had been lifted from her shoulders. Her coat was still second-hand, but clean. Her boots were scuffed, but warm, and most importantly, her eyes, they didn't carry the same kind of tired anymore. She stepped inside. The warmth greeted her like an old friend. And there he was. Ethan sat at a small table near the window, a coffee in hand, reading a paperback, not a tablet, not his phone, a real book. That surprised her more than it should have. When he looked up, he smiled, a real smile, not polite, not guarded, open. "You look good," he said. She smirked, slipping into the seat across from him. "You look less homeless." He laughed a full, unrestrained laugh and shook his head. "Fair." They paused, letting the silence settle comfortably between them. "I got your email," she said. "Didn't think you'd still want to keep in touch." "I told you," he replied. "You changed something for me." She studied him for a second. "So, how long did you stay out there after I left?" "A few more days," he said. "But after that, I couldn't anymore. It didn't feel honest." Erica nodded. "That makes sense. I spent years being surrounded by wealth, by people who only said what they thought I wanted to hear. I forgot what truth sounded like. Then you showed up with a loaf of bread and tore through all of that." She looked down at her cup, swirling the foam. It wasn't charity. "I know." She glanced out the window, then back at him. "You helped me too, you know?" He raised an eyebrow. "I paid off Caleb's medical bills, got a full-time job at a community center, moved into a small 2-bedroom with real heating. I even took a night class. Something about all of this made me want to stop surviving and start building." Ethan leaned back. "You're doing it." "Yeah," she said. "And my son. He's running again, like nothing ever happened. He laughs in his sleep now." Something in her voice broke just slightly. "Thank you," she added. "I mean that, or..." He nodded. "I didn't save you, Erica. You saved yourself. I just gave you the space to do it." They both sat in the quiet for a moment, letting the truth of it breathe. Then Ethan looked at her, more serious now. "I owe you something." She tilted her head. "What?" "A lesson," he said. "Or maybe just something I learned that night." He set his cup down and folded his hands. "Sometimes the people with the least to give the most." Erica let that settle. She nodded slowly. "Yeah, and sometimes the people with the most forget how." He chuckled. "Touché." They raised their cups, hers a latte, his black and toasted without words. Outside, people hurried past, unaware, caught in meetings and errands and noise, but inside that cafe, time slowed for two people who had once shared nothing but silence and a sidewalk. And now, they shared something else, a story, a memory, a bond that had nothing to do with money and everything to do with what it meant to be human. Erica stood first, grabbing her coat. "Will I see you again?" he asked. She smiled. "I think we're both too changed now to disappear." He nodded, but didn't move. As she walked out the door, the bell jingled softly behind her. The cold hit her cheeks, but it didn't sting the way it used to, because this time, she was walking forward, not as a woman trying to outrun survival, but as someone finally allowed to live. If this story moved you, share it, somewhere out there. Someone might need a reminder that kindness still matters, and maybe it'll find its way back to you.